to everyone who loves reading magazines like Daphne's Diary or other artsy magazines. I'm really sorry. You have to be really strong today because we will not read this magazine today. Hi there, this is Luise Heinzel. Welcome to my channel Junk Journal Art. Nice to see you here today. Today I have a little tip for you what you can do with those magazines that you probably have at home and that you love. I often have the problem with those magazines that I, of course, love reading them, but since I have read them, I have, them in my stash forever. I like looking at all of these pictures here, but then I don't use them. Do you know that? You think, oh, I can't cut that up, or in the other way around, I will cut this up and use that in my journal, and then you are never doing that. And I would like to show you how you can actually use those things from a magazine in a really artsy way on the one hand, and how you can do that whole thing in a really efficient way so that you have some things prepared that you can use for your future journal projects. Of course, you can do this thing that I'm showing you today with any magazine, any kind of newsletter thingy that you have. So it doesn't have to be such a magazine. You can also use a normal newsletter or even those junk mail little booklets or something like that. This technique that I'm showing you today works with nearly any kind of magazine or newspaper that you probably have at home. The main idea is to go through the whole thing and search for things that we can use in our junk journals, and then sort that a little bit by some kind of a category. And then later on, we are cutting that up and we have some things that we can use in our journals. And you can also organize that relatively good with the rest of your stash when you think about some main things, how you want to use that. I think that will make sense in a second. So the first thing that we are going to do is we are making some categories. We have a little strip here where we can write that down. So I will do that here. And as I said, we are going to do this in a really efficient way. So I want to save time. I want to make some categories so that my job later, cutting that stuff, is really easy. So I'm writing tags here, and I will put everything that can be a tag here above this word where it says tags, so that I later on know here are my tags. Then I definitely need some tickets. And I think, especially in this magazine here, there are many things that can be fuzzy cut images for focal points or something like that. So we are writing fuzzy cuts here. Then we perhaps can make some envelopes. And this is what I'm doing here, some kind of a mind map, some kind of brainstorming. I'm going through my stash in my brain and I think, what do I need? And what has come to my eye when I first flipped through this magazine. Of course, that can be another thing. You can think, what do I need in my stash? Or you can go through the magazine and think, oh, envelope. Yeah, so the images and the pages of the magazine, of course, also can tell you what you want to do. So what else can we have here? I think I want to do some snippet rolls thingies today. I mean, a snippet roll is normally a relatively long thing that is you know, a snippet roll is rolled so that you have a really long strip of little pieces, of little scraps that you have glued or sewn together, and then normally you roll that up. I'm the kind of crafter that likes those tinier things, tinier pieces of a snippet roll. I don't like to roll it because I don't like it. But we can make some snippet thingies as well, perhaps. Okay, so let's start with the tags. For the tags, I like to use a die cut set, but of course you can also make a template or something like that. I will show you how to do that in a second. This die cut set that I'm using is by Sizzix / Tim Holtz, and I like to use the two bigger ones from here. So here are different sizes in this set, but for this demonstration I will take these both here. Of course you can use the smaller ones if you have some as well. If you don't have die cuts, of course you can also make a template, and for that I would suggest to make a negative template. I will show you what I mean by negative template. So just take a piece of paper, that can be anything. This is just a piece of scrap paper. And then you can take your tag that you have. So imagine that this is paper, yeah? So then you can put that here, and you can just take a pencil, trace around this, you know, the whole way around. And then you can cut that out so that you have a little window here in the paper. Okay, so when you have your templates, then it looks approximately like this. And now you can place that to the pages of your magazine so that you can see exactly what would be on your tag if you would cut that out. And I think that is really, really helpful. For example, here, when you place this here, you can see you have here this part of the D, and here this little writing that's perhaps not so nice. I mean, if you like that, of course you could cut it out like that. But if you would take it like this, for example, you would only have those beautiful images here and not something of the writing. And here with this window, you can see exactly where you want to cut later. And now you can just go through the magazine with your templates. And I like to do that in a really random way. So you can just take this here, put it here, and think, do I like that? If yes, and I think I really like this, but perhaps on this smaller size here, if yes, you can just take your scissors and cut around here. So I'm placing my template here, and I'm just cutting around here, approximately like this. I'm a little bit aggressive, you know that. And then I'm taking this piece of paper and I'm placing this here where it says tags. So that means only the paper goes here where my category of tags is. Yeah, so I can, this would be, yeah, that is a little bit boring. So let's search for something that makes more sense here, so that you know what I mean. I mean, you could place this anywhere where you want. If you make a travel journal, for example, look at this. This would be a really, really cool tag. I don't need this as a theme for my tag, yeah, but this could be a really great thing. Or if the template would be a little bit small, oh, or even this, look at this. This is just cool. I think we will go with that. I will try to hold it a little bit closer so that you can see that. This is just gorgeous. This looks like you could jump into the tag. So let's take that and let's just cut that off here. And I like to cut the whole thing a little bit bigger than my tag is, as you can see, or as the template is, so that I have a little bit flexibility later. So yeah, that I have this and I can move it where I want it. So this goes there as well. And I also like to cut in a way that the rest of the page stays in the magazine, so that I don't have those flimsy and you know, kind of scrappy things from the magazine. I like to have everything in the magazine, but of course you can do that like you want it. So this could be great. And yeah, so I'm going on in exactly this way with my templates. First, for all of the tags that I want to make out of this magazine, and then I'm going on to the next category. Okay, so I went through the whole magazine one time, and now I have all of these papers here where I know that I want to turn that into tags. And this bunch of paper will stay here till I went through my whole list and went through the whole magazine. So I will first go with my single categories through the whole magazine over and over again, for each category one time through the magazine, and then I have the papers, and then later on I will cut everything at once. Hopefully that makes sense. So I have these papers here now, so that we then can go on with the tickets. So for the tickets, for me it makes sense to use a die cut as well. So I have this here. This is the ticket booth die cut by Zizix and Tim Holtz, and this is the number 662698 if you want to check that out. These are little ticket die cuts, as you can guess. And of course I have my little template here with yeah, in the same way. Yeah, so I could take these and make a template from a paper as well, like I did it with the tags. But here in this case, I think you can also use the die cut itself and place that here. Then you can also see what will be on your ticket later. If you don't have such die cuts, you can also, of course, make a template by yourself and cut a little ticket by yourself. I think you know how that works. So if not, do I have a tutorial? Yes, I have a tutorial from the last Dephemerember series that I did with Barbara at 49 Dragonflies. Hi, Barbara. I will link both videos for you down below. There you can see how you can make your own tickets. We've done 2 videos on making ephemera, and in this case it was tickets. And there you can see different ideas how you can make your own tickets. And of course you don't have to decorate them like we did that in the video, but you can see in the very first part of those videos how you can cut them and make your template. So I will link that down below for you. And now I will go through the magazine in exactly the same way and cut some areas where I think that I can make tickets out of. Okay, so when we have that, we have a bunch of papers like this, and we can go to the next category, that's fuzzy cuts. Yeah, okay, so this is everything that I want to fuzzy cut today. So our next category is envelopes, and I think that we will use these pages here at the end to make the envelopes, because look at this, we have a really nice pattern on the one and the other side. So that means that we have a nice pattern on the outside and on the inside at the same time. So why not using this for the envelopes? And the last category that we have is snippet rolls. And for that, I really like to go back to those pages that I've already cut Yeah, so for example, this here, I can just do it like this and just tear out different pieces of paper. And I like to tear off the edges so that I have not such a straight frame around the edges like I had with my cutting from the scissors. So I like to make different sizes of scraps now, and I tell you the reason why I take the pages that I have already used before, because when I later on have my stash with the tags and the tickets and the fuzzy cut images and that stuff, I will have tags, for example, that have this pattern. I will have perhaps tickets that have this pattern. And when I later on go through my stash while I'm creating my journal, then of course I will have something that matches each other. When I go through those things, I will probably find something that matches one of my tags or one of my tickets, and I can put that next to each other into my journal. But of course, I can also take out things that speak to my eye. For example, this cool pattern here. And I can, of course, tear out things that are not in the color scheme that I had before, or that are not from the pages that I have used before. But especially those smaller scraps of the pages, of course, you can use them up by making those scraps and, yeah, later on turning them into those snippet rolls. Okay, so when we have all of that, we can put the magazine away and we can start cutting out everything. Okay, so let's go on with the papers for our envelopes. We have these three. On one of them, on the back, I have this. And I'm at the moment not totally sure how I can manage to get this to an envelope, but I know that I want to do that. But let's start with the other both that are a little bit easier because they both have patterns on both sides, so that we can decide which one we want to have on the outside of our envelope and which on the inside. Okay, I think I will start with this one because I have a relatively clear vision what I want to do with that. I want to have this pattern on the outside and this one on the inside, and I think this screams for making a coin envelope. So for that, I'm taking the paper. This will be my outside, so I will take it like this and then I will fold it. And I'm doing that relatively randomly, I have to say. I eyeball that. So this is approximately a third of the whole length of the paper. And then I'm taking the other side and I'm letting that overlap a little bit. And with this fold, of course, I can also decide how wide my envelope will be in the end, because later on it will be like this and here will be the opening. So I can decide where I want to fold this here now to get the right width that I want. And now I'm taking this part here as the bottom, because here is the torn edge that I have from the from the magazine. I have just torn the page out and this is not so nice, so I can use that as my bottom. So I'm taking this and I'm just folding it like this. You can also use a bone folder to get a nice fold here. And I personally like this. I mean, I make junk journals, yeah, so I really like this. And I will glue that with the whole layers that I have here, like this. Of course, you can also fold it open again and then cut this inner piece, I mean this inner layer that you wouldn't need, and then you can glue it like this, or you can also cut this straight and glue this here. But I really like this, especially because here, by happy accident, this orange comes out again that we have here in the rest of the pattern as well. Okay, so for the top, we have to decide how much we want to fold down. So I like to turn it around a little bit so that I have an easier job to fold this. And now we can just take this and decide where we want to fold it. I think this is good. This is approximately 2.5 or 3 centimeters. Oh, I can measure that here. Oh, it's a little bit more than 3 centimeters. Okay, so now it looks like this. And of course we have these layers here as well. Here it is, I think, not possible to leave the layers. I mean, you could do that. You could leave it like this, close it here with a closure of your choice. But when you then open it, you would have to put your fingers in here and take out what's inside here. That would be possible, but I think that's not so nice. So that means when this is the flip, I open that and I will cut off this thing here from the inside so that we have only one layer of this flip here. Now this whole thing looks like this, and now of course these both cuttings are not so nice, but that's not the problem. We will make that very nice in a second. So we take this, and I have opened it completely now, as you can see. Now I'm just carefully, I'm just carefully taking this and I'm bringing this edge to this edge. And now when I have that, I take my scissors and I am just cutting a nice shape here through both layers. And when I now close this and I flip this back, then you can see this looks really pretty now, like an envelope would be here on the top. So now we can glue that together. And for that, I'm just putting a little bit of glue here. Press this here and here on the bottom, of course, I need the glue in between of my layers here and here, so that everything is glued down really well. And for that I'm taking another glue so that I can reach those areas a little bit better. Okay, and now our envelope is ready to go. So we can take something and put that in here. And what I really like is that it has a nice pattern from the inside as well. So for a gift, for example, that would be really, really cute. And I really like that. Yeah, I like it. I hope you like it as well. And now you can put a closure of your choice here and close that. Normally on those coin envelopes there would be this round thing here and this other round thing here, and you would have a thread that you can put around here. I think you know that closure. But for me, this is at the moment enough for filling up my stash. I mean, what we are doing here is for preparing things, and I can always decide which closure I want to make here when I put this into my journal. It could also happen that I don't need a closure because, for example, let me show you that, perhaps I don't want to have a closure because I want to add my envelope in another way to my journal. So for example, let's take a journal and let's take a page. For example, you could also take the envelope and take the flip, put it over the page like this, and let it hang here. Oh, that actually looks not so bad with the colors here. I haven't planned that, but that looks not so bad. And then this way, of course, you wouldn't need a closure. You could glue that here. Then this is here fixed, and or you could also turn this into a tuck spot so that you can take something and put that below here to tuck that in. And then when you have glued that, you could open it like this and fill it from here and put your paper that you want to put in there from here, so you wouldn't need a closure. And I like to have these things in my stash as raw as possible so that I have the most flexibility when I want to put that into my journal. Another possibility to make an envelope is, of course, to use an envelope punch board. I think this was one of the first things that I have bought that was before I started making junk journals. And then I had it in my stash and I thought, oh, that's cool, because when you need envelopes for your junk journal, you can make them by yourself and then you can use this board. And guess what happened? This is in my shelf and I use that nearly never. I don't know why, because this is really cool. So let's try that. And I have no idea how that works. I mean, I have an idea how it works, but I don't like to use these measurements here. I don't need that, because this always says the card size, the paper size that you need, the score line and that stuff. I don't like to measure anything. I don't need to measure anything. I like to take my paper and see what I have here, and then I just go for it. So if you have a scoreboard like this, or this envelope punch board like this, then of course you can follow these instructions here, or you can do it really freestyle. So the first thing that we are going to need is a square. So I'm just taking this, and can I see that? Yes. And then I'm just cutting a square out of this page. And then, of course, we are going to need the middle here. Here. So now I have put the middle in here. It's a really, really good idea to measure that. Yeah. So I say I do that freestyle because, yeah, I do everything freestyle, or nearly everything, but it's a good idea to measure that you have the same thing here. You will see that in a second. So the first thing that we are going to do is we punch here, So here is a little notch now. I will show you that in a second. And now we can score that here. It's a little bit tricky because the magazine paper is so thin, but it's, yeah, you have to make that a little bit carefully. Okay, so when we have that, here is the score line, then we turn this around like this. So now I have to put that back in there, and here is this little nose that has to go in one line with this fold that we've made here before. And then when we have aligned that up, we can score again, we can punch again, and then make the next fold. Then we turn that around again, line the nose up here with this fold, so that now the whole thing looks like this. Now I'm taking all of these things here and folding that to the inside. So I'm putting some glue there to the middle, and then just a little bit here and here. And now this is ready to go, and you can fill it up with something and include that to your journal. Okay, so the last thing, I mean, of this envelope category is this here. Okay, let's see. It would make sense if this would be on the front so that you can see it. If we would glue that there, that would be not so bad. So I will first fold this so that this here in the middle on the back side is overlapping a little bit, just a tiny little bit, just a few millimeters. I guess we can just close it here by adding some glue or washi tape, and we need the flip there. For that, I guess we will just take some packaging paper. I really like the contrast of this neutral packaging paper and the image here. And now I'm taking this and I'm opening that, and I make some lines here just so that you can see better what I'm doing. So I need a piece of paper that goes in here. So I'm just taking this packaging paper, lining this up here on the one side, and then I'm just making a mark here so that I know how wide this is. So I will cut that here so that I have the exact same width like I have here. So this is by happy accident approximately the same width of both of these envelopes. So I will just do this freestyle as well and do both flips at the same time. So I'm taking the piece of paper that has the right width and I'm just folding that in half. And then let's just put that in here. So I guess we will glue that approximately here. And then let's just take that and fold this. So then it's in here like this. And do you know what I mean? This will be the flip later. And now we can decide how long we want to have that. I think here would be a good, this would be a good length. And now I have this fold that will go in the envelope, into the envelope later. And this is the length from here to here. So that means we can fold that open and first find the middle to fold it like this, and then cut the shape through all of the layers. And when I have that, I can open it then we have that, and we can just cut that, and we have the two pieces in exactly the same shape. Haha. Okay, so now we can just glue that together. So how to do that? First of all, we need some glue. We need some glue on this thing here. Then I can glue this here. And I think it's a good idea to close that so that you can see how high you want to have that. I think I like the idea of taking the same packaging paper, just a little strip. Oh, that's probably a little bit too big. And just fold that in half and then glue that there so that it is closed. Then we have this color of the packaging paper on the front of the envelope as well. So take just a little strip, put some glue, and then close the bottom of the envelope with the help of this little thing. Okay, so then we have that, and we have our little envelope. Ta-da! So I will just do the same thing on this one here. So here we go. This is the back side, and as you can see on the front, if I would turn it in the right direction, you know, this is the top. If I would turn it around, you can see it's the wrong way around, but I did it, yeah, I've planned it like this because I also like to have envelopes that are in the wrong direction on the back. Now I have it like this, and I see that this image is in the right direction. And from the other side, it's like this. I have made it exactly like this because when you now want to put that into a journal, you could just take a page and then take this here, this flip, and put that to the page like this, just in here like this. So that's not the perfect page, this is in the way, but you know what I mean. You could just put it here like this. Then you could open it like this when it's glued down here, and you can fill it up here on the bottom instead of having that on the top like it would be with the other one. Cute. Okay, so now we have that. Then we can go on with the last thing for today, with our snippet roll. That is no snippet roll because we won't roll it. So today I will make the most easiest snippet roll that you can imagine, because there are so many ideas, so many tutorials about snippet rolls that I only want to show a basic idea here today. You can of course decorate that as you want. You can sew over that, you can glue it, you can put other things to it. I have only here the scraps from the magazine now. You could additionally put some scraps from your stash to your snippet roll. You can include postage stamps or whatever, fabric scraps, lace, and so on. So I will do the most easiest thing that you could imagine. For that, I'm taking just a piece of paper scrap, this little thing here, so that I have a base where I can put my scraps on now. So now I'm taking my scraps and I'm just layering this here as I want that, and as I think that it looks great. And when I have a few that I can hold with my finger, I'm taking a stapler and I just staple that. And I like to cross my staples so that they look like this. I think that's an interesting way to make a snippet roll without sewing. And as I said, I will not roll this up as many people do it. I really like to see how it looks when it's rolled up, but for me it's not so handy. But that doesn't matter. You can now take that and roll that up. When you have a really long strip of this, you can of course roll that up and then later on use it as you want it. But I like to have these strips approximately, yeah, like my pages in a journal would be high. I mean, this is a little already a little bit longer, but let me show you. I like to have these strips, and when I have my journal, then I can say I want to place this here, for example. Then I can just tear this off, and I would have a little piece here left, this here, that I could put to another page, and I would have a color combination or a color bridge, cohesive colors and that stuff, with this little bit that I have torn off on another page. So that's the reason why I like to make these a little bit longer than my actual junk journal pages are, and then later on I can just use them. Okay, so what do we have for our stash? We have, I mean, I will take the other scraps and make some more of those snippet rolled strips here later on when I finished the video, because you got the idea. But what do we have today at the end of this day? Let's see. So we have some snippet rolls and some of these strips here. Then we have a total of 4 envelopes. Then we have many fuzzy cut images. So this, I'm a little bit proud of myself, because these are really cool. And look, for example, at these birds. They look totally different when you have them cut out, and these scream to me, please use me as a focal point on a tag or something like that, or on a page. This is so much difference when it is cut out than when it's in the magazine, I think. And it's, for me, the same thing with all of these other pieces here. So if you want to see that closer, I will post some pictures of my fuzzy cutouts here on Instagram, so that you can check that out there. But this is so cool. I can now put the butterflies in my box of butterflies, my birdies to the birdie box, and so on. And that is just handy for me. And I can grab what I want for my next project without any time-consuming cutout things, you know. So the next thing that we have is are these tickets here. So I have several of these now here, and I think they turned out really cool, especially those that I have cut out from unusual areas of the pages, I would say. But also these with the flowers I like really much. So these will go into my little box of tickets now, so that I can later on use them in my projects. I really love this. This looks really cute in my eyes. Just a little date or a stamping or something like that. Just a tiny bit here, so that it's not, or even like this, it looks really cute. But I would stamp probably a date or something like that here. These are really cute. And I also like those that have the same pattern. For example, these blue and yellow ones, they look really cute. And if you use all of those that have the same pattern in one journal, I mean, look at that. You would have a really cool color bridge just by using those on several pages after each other in a journal, and this would be just perfect for a journal. And last but not least, we have our tags, and these turned out really cool as well, I would say. These are relatively flimsy because they are only made out of this magazine paper, but I like to have some thinner tags in my journals as well. You can always put some white gesso to the back side, and then you can write on those tags. I think it doesn't always have to be such a thick material where you cut your tags out of. I think this is okay as well. Why not making tags out of such a thinner material? So yeah, That's what we got out of one Daphne's Diary magazine. And I think, if you want to look at this, this is really, really crazy. I mean, this took me some hours, of course. What you see in the video, of course, is the edited version of my process. It's way shorter than it was in reality. But when I think about what I can do with this, I think it was definitely worth the effort to do that. And I have now really cool things to play with and that I can put in my stash and use in my future journals. I hope you like this idea. Try that out. Tell me what you think about that and see you the next time. Bye bye.